All right, diving into limiting beliefs today. Super interesting topic. And, we've got some great sources to work with, too.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got that practical advice from Asana, like how these beliefs mess with teamwork.
Uh-huh.
And then, like, Mark Manson's more philosophical take on it, really digging into the whole thought pattern thing,
Yeah.
and how to, like, bust out of those ruts.
Yeah, I think that combo is going to be potent because you hit it right. Limiting beliefs, those things can totally show up anywhere. Work, personal life. It's wild how they just kind of operate under the surface sometimes.
Like, sneaky. Right. So, got to start with the basics. What even are limiting beliefs? Like, Manson has this whole elephant and fence post thing. Have you heard that one?
Oh, yeah, it's a classic and such a good visual, you know? Like, picture this. Baby elephant tied to a post, tries to break free, but can't. So it just kind of gives up and accepts the rope's the limit. But the thing is, right, as that elephant grows up, it totally could rip that post out, no problem.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It stays stuck because it believes it can't escape.
Whoa, our minds can build some serious fences, huh?
No kidding. Both Asana and Manson, they both say it straight up. Limiting beliefs, they're these restrictions we put on ourselves, often based on junk, like stuff we just made up or accepted without thinking. Asana defines them as, hold on, let me get this right, a state of mind or belief about yourself that restricts you.
Okay, so it's less about what you can actually do and more about what you think you can do. Big difference.
Huge. Oh, and Manson, he says they're false beliefs that prevent us from pursuing our goals and desires.
So it's not about, like, lacking ability. It's about lacking the belief
Yeah.
in your ability, right?
Nailed it. Though, gotta say, not every limiting belief is bad, Like, some keep us from doing dumb stuff, haha. It's all about figuring out which ones are really holding us back, the ones that keep us from, like, our full potential and all that.
Yeah, like, you secretly want to start a business, but you got that little voice saying, nah, you're not cut out for it. Keeps that dream tucked away.
Bingo! And that's where Asana, they really nail the teamwork angle. Like, they talk about how in offices, these beliefs can just squash creativity. Everyone's stuck doing the same old thing because no one believes they can change it.
Ugh, yeah, that's rough. Like, imagine, right, you got the best solution, but you don't feel good enough, smart enough, whatever,
Yeah.
to even suggest it. That hurts everyone.
Totally. And Manson, he's looking bigger picture, like how this stuff affects our whole lives, not just work. He's talking dreams, relationships, even just enjoying life's simple stuff. All that can get choked by limiting beliefs.
True. And it's not just believing it, it's that those beliefs can kind of make themselves come true, right?
Yeah.
Like, Manson talks about how he used to think everyone talking to him just wanted something from him. And guess what? That made him distrustful, isolated, which has proved his belief, even though it might not have been true in the first place. So it's like the belief creates the actions, and then the actions prove the belief.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bad loop, right?
Exactly. We got to bust out of that loop. Both Asana and Manson, they're all about that. Asana, they give this example. Imagine, right? You're working on something new, a project, whatever, but you don't believe you're good enough to suggest a better way. You're missing out big time, and so is the team.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so limiting beliefs are sneaky, they hold us back,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not all the same,
Yeah.
are they? Like, both sources, they break them down into types, right?
They do. It's actually really helpful to see how different they can be. Like, they got their own little ways of working, First up, beliefs about ourselves, like all those I'm not good enough, not smart enough kind of thoughts.
Oh, those hit close to home, for sure.
Mhm.
I know I've got my own struggles with feeling like not creative enough.
And Asana, they got this whole list. Too old, too young, don't have enough time, not enough experience. It's like a greatest hits of keeping yourself down.
Yeah, you said not good enough a minute ago, and Asana, they actually highlight that as one of the most common ones, right? It's interesting because Manson says these self-limiting things, they often come from deeper issues, like old hurts or criticism we just kind of absorbed.
Yeah, totally. Like, think about those negative messages we get, especially when we're younger. Those can stick, man. They shape how we see ourselves. And Manson, he's got this great story. He used to think he was a bad writer, bad grades in school,
Oh, I've heard this one. He's a New York Times bestseller now, right? Guess those beliefs were a bit off.
Yeah. Turns out he was just a rebellious kid who'd rather write, like, sci-fi about aliens running the government. Haha.
That's awesome. So what we think our weaknesses could be our strengths, just waiting to be unleashed.
Absolutely. And realizing that, like, hey, these beliefs about myself might be totally wrong. That's a huge first step to breaking free.
Okay, so that's beliefs about ourselves. What about beliefs about the world?
Yeah.
Like the ones that make you feel like you're constantly fighting an uphill battle?
Right. Those are tough. It's like those voices telling us the world's dangerous, people can't be trusted, no one's going to support your dreams. And remember Manson's thing, where he assumed everyone wanted something. Textbook example of how that kind of belief builds walls between you and everyone else.
Yeah, so you isolate yourself because you believe everyone's bad news, but then the isolation just proves your belief, even though it might not be true at all. Crazy cycle.
And it shows up everywhere, right? Can't quit my job, my parents will be disappointed, or if I start my own business, people think I'm nuts. It's like a constant fear of judgment holding us back.
Right, that fear can really stop us from going after what we really want.
For sure. Oh, and Manson, he brings up this whole thing about entitlement. He says a lot of these world beliefs come from thinking we're owed something.
Interesting. So instead of focusing on what we think we deserve, maybe it's about what we can create, what we contribute,
Mm.
right?
You got it. And then there's those beliefs around, prejudice and discrimination. He doesn't sugarcoat it. That stuff exists. But he also reminds us that just because those biases exist on a big scale doesn't mean they're true in every interaction.
That's a good point. It's empowering. We can challenge those ideas and connect with people who see us for who we are.
Right on. And then there's this whole other subset, beliefs about being special, like nobody understands my genius kind of vibe.
Yeah, we all know that person. Haha. Music's too edgy. Business ideas too revolutionary. No one gets it but them.
Manson calls it, get this, perverse entitlement. Like, you're so unique, so amazing, the world ain't ready. But he asks, what's more likely? Right, the whole world's wrong and doesn't see your brilliance. Or maybe, just maybe, you're not as special as you think.
Okay, that's a good reality check. It makes me think about what you said earlier about surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, not just yes men. If everyone's telling you you're amazing all the time, do you really grow?
Great point. Sometimes the best support is the kind that pushes you out of your comfort zone, makes you see things differently.
Makes sense. All right, so we've done beliefs about ourselves, beliefs about the world.
Yeah.
What's the third type?
This one's about life itself. And a big one here is like missing the boat, that feeling someone's already done it, so why even bother?
Ugh, I've been there. Why start a blog? There's a million already. Or why write a book? Everything's been said.
But what Manson says to that is so interesting. He's like, if someone's already making money off something, that's proof you should do it, compete. Or if your novel idea has been done, write it better, improve it.
Right. Why settle for good enough when we can go for awesome?
Exactly. And another big one here is all about time. We're always saying, no time for my passions, too busy to change.
Oh, yeah. I don't have time is my personal favorite excuse.
But Manson's take on it, brilliant. He says it's really, I don't care enough. Because if you truly prioritized it, you'd make time. You'd rearrange, delegate, something.
He's got a point. It's like saying no time to eat. Well, you're going to make time because your body needs it. It's seeing what matters and giving it the time it deserves.
Totally. He also says when we say no time, we're often picking comfort and safety instead. Stick to routines, avoid risks, and then wonder why we feel stuck.
Deep stuff. Okay, this is getting heavy, but I'm ready for the how-to part. How do we break free from these thought traps?
Me too. That's where the real magic happens. We're going to get into some serious strategies for overcoming these beliefs and get you creating the life you actually want.
Okay, so we've shined a spotlight on these limiting beliefs, right? They're out in the open now, time for action. How do we actually break free? Because knowing about them is one thing, but actually changing, that's the real deal.
You're so right. It's all about the doing. Luckily, both our sources, they got some solid advice. Manson, he's got this 4-step process. Sounds simple, but it's powerful stuff when you actually use it.
All right, hit me with step 1. I'm ready.
Step 1 is asking yourself, what if I'm wrong? Don't just take those beliefs as gospel truth. Challenge them. Put them on trial.
So let's say I'm stuck with, I'm too old to start a new career, right? I got to ask, what if that's just like a story I made up? What if my age doesn't matter as much as, I don't know, my passion, my willingness to learn new stuff?
Exactly. That what if I'm wrong? It opens up the possibilities, It starts loosening the grip of that belief.
Like suddenly you're not so sure it's true anymore.
Right. And then step 2, this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Got to get curious about how that belief might be, serving you. Even if it's in a messed up way, there's usually some kind of benefit.
Okay, so maybe my belief that I'm not creative, it's actually protecting me from putting myself out there. 'Cause then I could get rejected, right?
Yeah.
Easier to just stay hidden and say, nope, not creative. than to try and maybe fail.
See, that's it. Or maybe it's letting you stay comfy in your routine, avoiding the hard work of actually developing your creative side. They're sneaky like that.
It's like they're these weird little bodyguards, right? Trying to keep us safe, but end up keeping us small.
Perfect way to put it. And once you see how it's serving you, even in a bad way, you can start breaking down those defenses, taking back your power.
All right, so we challenged the belief. We saw how it's holding us back. Now what?
Now comes the fun part, step 3, making up some new W beliefs. This is where your imagination gets to play. Write yourself a better story, you know?
So instead of I'm not creative, I could try something like I've got tons of creative potential even if I haven't tapped into it yet. I want to see what that looks like, explore it.
Love it. You're shifting from like, this is how it is to this is how it could be.
But how do we actually believe these new beliefs? It feels like trying to convince myself the sky's green.
That's where step 4 comes in, testing them out. Manson says treat them like science experiments, right? Act as if they're true and see what happens.
Okay, so if I am creative, I'm going to start doing creative stuff. Sign up for that pottery class, dust off that old novel I was going to write.
Yep. The more you act like it's true, the more proof you'll get that it is. You're literally rewiring your brain, making new connections based on these good beliefs.
So we're actually shaping reality by choosing what we believe, kinda.
And Asana, they've got some extra tips to add to that. First, they say, just write those limiting beliefs down. Sounds basic, but it's powerful.
Yeah, I get that. It's like getting those thoughts out of your head onto paper. Now you can actually see them, right? Be more objective.
Exactly. It creates some distance. Then you can be like, okay, is this really true? Is there proof? Or is it just my fear talking?
And if it did just fear, you'd be like, yo, fear, thanks for trying to protect me, but I'm doing this anyway.
Yes. Take back control. Asana also suggests positive affirmations, Replace the bad self-talk with good stuff.
So instead of I suck at public speaking, it's I'm a confident speaker and I'm getting better every time.
Perfect. Even if you don't believe it 100% at first, the more you say it, the more it sinks in. It's like planting seeds in your mind, right?
Love that analogy. We're growing a better reality for ourselves.
And remember, this whole overcoming beliefs thing, it's a journey. There'll be bumps, moments of doubt. But Asana says, don't give up. Even the most successful people, they deal with this stuff too.
That actually makes me feel better. Haha. We're not alone in this. Everyone's got that inner critic, It's about choosing which voice to listen to.
That's the key. We get to choose our beliefs, and by doing that, we're choosing our reality. Not always easy, but definitely possible.
Wow. We covered a lot in this deep dive, huh? Like all the different kinds of limiting beliefs, how they work, and even some ways to break free from them. Feels like we built a whole toolkit.
We did. And the best part is, even just a tiny step can make a big difference. It's like, when a dam starts to crack, once you question those beliefs, the whole thing can crumble.
Yeah, that's a great visual. And it reminds me what you were saying before about those beliefs being kind of like protective walls, right?
Yeah.
Keeping us safe, but also keeping us small. So now we're taking down the walls and finally seeing how big things could be.
Exactly. So here's a question for you to think about, all right? If you could overcome just one limiting belief, the one that's been holding you back the most, what would it be? And what's the smallest thing you could do, today, to start proving that belief wrong?
Ooh, good one. What's that voice in your head saying, one telling you can't do something or you're not good enough? Could be about your job, your relationships, your creative side, whatever feels stuck right now.
And once you figure out that belief, ask yourself, what's one tiny action I can take right now, today, to show that voice it's wrong? Maybe it's signing up for a class, having a tough conversation, or even just writing down a new belief, a good one, to replace the old one.
Because remember, you get to choose what you believe. And when you do that, you're choosing your reality too. Don't let those old stories, those limiting beliefs define you. You're capable of way more than you think, I guarantee it.
This has been so fun. I'm glad we got to explore all this with you. You've obviously put a lot of thought into this whole topic, and I bet you're going to take these tools and make some amazing changes in your life.
We're rooting for you. Keep digging deep, keep questioning, keep growing. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into limiting beliefs. And until next time, stay curious.